How would he have done Milos in the show?
I think that he would do tremendously good.
I'll say it. I think he would have won both.
I think he would have won both.
What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with this statement from the reigning Miss Olympia Samson. And this just goes to show us that the Persian wolf, Hadi he is considered a much more bigger threat to Miss Olympia title than Derek Lunsford.
Samson, who were you more concerned with, honestly, during the prejudging? Was it Hadi or Derek? Because there had to be one that you thought was like more on your heels than the other.
Even coming, no offense to Derek, but he's freaking remarkable. But for me, even right after the Arnold Ohio and Arnold UK, Hadi was always my target.
Because Samson himself admits that he was more concerned about Hadi Choopan at the prejudging. And we have been getting these same sort of statements from Nick Walker as well. Although I do believe that Nick Walker hasn't earned the right to make such a statement because he has never beaten Derek Lunsford before. But that being said, I do believe that Nick Walker is a very smart bodybuilder and he can be a real threat to Derek Lunsford as well. Now, if there is one thing that all of us can agree on, is that it wasn't the best Hadi Choopan that got beaten at the Olympia this year.
I mean, Hadi from the Arnold Ohio especially, that was the Hadi I was mentally getting ready to face at the Olympia stage.
If he showed up, what do you think would have happened?
Oh my God, that was what I was ready to battle with. So you know,
what do you think would have happened?
I don't know what would have happened, but that was what because you know what? That was like, okay, now that is a standard that you have to beat.
And he was still good enough that at the end of the prejudging, both Samson and Hadi Choopan, they were tied on the scorecards, and both of these guys had the same points. So if it was the Arnold Classic Ohio version of Hadi Choopan at the Olympia stage this year, I think he would have been leading. But the finals was totally a different story, where Samson really pulled ahead. But this revelation about Samson regarding Hadi Choopan and Derek, that raises some good questions about the Olympia next year. Will Hadi Choopan ever be able to beat his Arnold Ohio look from this year in the future, in the upcoming years? Now, he might be one of the most consistent guy in the men's open class. But the thing is, how many years did it take for Hadi Choopan to beat his 2019 Van Pro look? Because that was the benchmark set by Hadi back in the day. And the second most important question is that, will Hadi Choopan ever be able to peak at his 100% the way he did at this year's Arnold without his former coach Hani Rambod? I hope he does, because the battle between Samson and the best Hadi Choopan, that is still pending. And that is gonna be such a treat for all of us bodybuilding fans. He's still gonna be the biggest threat to Samson next year. But what does the future look like for the 2023 Miss Olympia Derek Lunsford? Will he step up big time for next year? Because let's be real, many people thought that Derek is gonna be 2 times Olympia champion this year. And it was probably the over-dieting, especially during the peak week, that made him lose all his size, especially on his quads, on his lower half. And that is why he dropped down to 3rd place. So maybe there is gonna be a different approach to how he preps for this upcoming season for the Olympia next year. All I can say is that Derek is way younger than both Samson and Hadi Choopan, and he is gonna be hungrier than ever to get back to the top, and people should not count him out. The biggest regret for Milos Sarcev and his athlete Behrooz this year was that they did not prep for the post-Olympia shows, including Romania and Prague. And normally I have got to say, Milos overhypes his athletes, but a lot of you guys will agree with him on this one, just because Martin had a few problems during the prejudging at this year's Prague Pro. He did not look as good as he did at the Olympia this year.
We highly regret him not doing Romania and Prague after we realize who entered the Prague. That would be ground that you can prove yourself against 14-year-old. Say that he would beat Martin is a stretch because he was 4th. Arguably he could have been 3rd.
We'll talk about that.
Okay, yeah, but he would for sure give judges a reason to maybe consider him beating Martin.
So Behrooz, with the type of gritty and hard conditioning that he brings to the stage every single time, and the fact that he is always so dry, he would have had a good shot against Martin Fitzwater at Prague Pro this year. If the only reason that Behrooz did not go for Romania and Prague was that he was so hurt about sitting out of the Olympia for 3rd year in a row, then I have got to say he made a bad call, because we do not know when he's gonna get the visa But this was his chance to stand next to the fourth best bodybuilder in the world, and also against a guy like Rafael Brandao, who was top 8. Not to mention get a comparison with Chris Bumstead, and also against Akim Williams in Romania. And we all know Behrooz is the type of athlete who will give you zero breathing space, even if you are just slightly off in terms of conditioning. And he is gonna make sure that he exposes you. So Martin versus Behrooz, that would have been a very good comparison. Although I do believe Martin at his very best, he is very hard to beat. So the plan for Behrooz Tabani is to apply for this upcoming Arnold, which is happening in March, and hopefully he gets the visa. So I think we can all agree Behrooz Tabani is a first Olympia caller guy. He is gonna be top 6, considering the fact that how he was able to beat William Barnack with so much ease at this year's Dubai Pro, and William Barnack was top 7 at the Olympia this year. Next up, we have an update from Andrew Jacked, the Mona Lisa of bodybuilding. It is interesting that a top-tier athlete, he had just one bad showing, and the fans totally forget how great he can be. So throughout the Olympia prep, there was just so much hype behind Andrew Jacked. First of all, because of the way he won this year's Texas Pro, and he shocked everyone. And second of all, his trainer kept on telling us that this is gonna be something special, something even better than Texas Pro. And I'm sure many of us agree that his physique, even slightly better than what we saw at Texas Pro, that is gonna be dangerous to every single top Olympian out there, including the reigning champion, Samson. Just listen to the head judge, Steve Weinberger, who was on the Real Bodybuilding podcast, and Fuad asked him that does he see another Olympia streak like we had in the past, and Steve only mentioned Andrew Jacked, that he would like to see how Andrew Jacked will do at his very best. And that just goes to show us that Andrew Jacked has so much unfulfilled potential.
There will be another long reigning Mr. Olympia.
I don't think so.
Do you think Samson
Not
could
the way
be?
it is right now.
Do you think Samson could be that guy?
If Andrew Jack puts it together, I'd like to see those two together.
And he is going to be the biggest rival of Samson at this upcoming Arnold. So the best Andrew has placed at the Olympia level, that is 5th for 2 years in a row. And Texas 2024, that was his all-time best. So you can make an argument that Andrew still needs more thickness from the side. But his front shots, they are just so damn good that he is Mr. Olympia from the front all day long. And the way his back improved so much this year, especially his back double biceps. And that is why I believe if he can continue to improve, and especially if he can bring up his hamstrings, he is gonna be so dangerous, and he is gonna be a Mr. Olympia title contender next year. So this upcoming battle between Samson Dauda and Andrew Jacked for this year's Arnold, that is gonna be so exciting, because we have seen this trend that Andrew always shows up better at the Olympia qualifiers than he does at the Olympia. And maybe this time we will get that real battle between two tall, very aesthetic guys here. The battle we were expecting to see at this past Miss Olympia. Next up, we have the off-season physique update of James Hollingshead, one of the many clients of Stefan in the men's open class. And apparently Stefan has been doing such a great job that none of his clients, they have a concern on Stefan taking on more clients, more athletes. So this is gonna be a long-awaited comeback by James Hollingshead next year, because his last show, that was the Arnold UK, and he did continue to diet for weeks after his last show to see how much more detail he can bring. But then he decided not to do Detroit Pro, a show that he was supposed to do, because first of all he was looking so impressive in that post-Arnold phase, and second of all, he had so much pressure on him by the fans and by the bodybuilding community as well. So James has been working with Stefan for more than 6 months now, and this has been a very long and a big off-season for James Hollingshead in the books. And we have to keep in mind, he still has 1 more month to keep getting bigger, to keep growing, before he starts dieting down. So with the kind of genetics and structure that James has, he should be 100% for this upcoming Arnold. The prejudging look of James, where he got a chance to stand next to Hadi Choopan, that was really promising, and that is the one to beat in 2025. So James has been over 300 pounds for quite some time now. So this is gonna be a bigger version of him, and most probably his best ever. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.